Good evening. Welcome to the latest live Sunday reaction show from Last World Boxing. Joined by all the regulars. Daz Medcalf. Very happy Daz Medcalf, I should say. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you.
Darren Aston, all the way from Brum. You okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks.
And Håkan, as always, comes on this show from out there in Scandinavia. Welcome, mate.
Thank you.
It's good to have all of you on. It's good to have all of you on. Crazy night of boxing last night. Obviously, Daz being the main head coach for Nicola Hopewell. That's where we're starting tonight, lads, and then we'll move on to the boxer card. I was obviously at the show as well. Footage, interviews, all the gubbins will be landing on the show over the next few days. So anyone watching this live or watching it back, like, comment, subscribe, and you'll see those interviews drop. Very interesting interview from Dennis Hobson, but we'll get onto that very shortly. Nicola went in last night. For anyone that does know and hasn't seen it, and absolutely demolished a very tough Mary Abbey to retain a Commonwealth fly title. I think I need to start with what I would call a neutral opinion, and that's Håkan, and then I'll come on to you, Daz, and I can tell you how much of a brilliant coach you are. Håkan, you watched this live stream on Fight Zone, didn't you, mate?
Yes, and I will not call me neutral regarding Nicola Hopewell, but Nicola was on another level than I have seen her before. This was an absolute amazing performance from Nicola. She might have lost the first round. That was a very close round, but then she took over the fight and dominated totally.
That's exactly how I saw it, and I think it's exactly how Daz has seen it as well. Just from what I've seen when I've been up to the gym, and Daz has mentioned it on a previous interview I did when I went up to the gym, and that's that they've had a secret weapon in camp. They've had another coach involved, someone we all know, very famous. Daz, if you didn't know, everybody, Daz had quite a serious back injury not that long ago at work. Very lucky to have only come out with what he come out with, to be honest. He plays it down a bit, but it was pretty serious. So because of that, he's not been able to do pads and anything where there's any kind of physical interaction throughout this camp because of his injury. As everybody knows, Ebony Bridges is very close to Nick, really good friends. She's always been there for information, advice, support. She's always backed Nick, but it's now been taken to another level where she's very heavily involved. I know you won't mind me saying all this, Daz. Very heavily involved in the training side of things, and she's brought a different dimension to the way Nick approaches a fight. Now, obviously, fight tactics for this particular fighter were to fight the style that she fought last night, which, as you've said quite rightly, Håkan, she's taken a game to a completely different level. What in particular, mate? I'm staying with you, Håkan. What in particular do you think you saw in that performance last night that has improved the most in Nick's game?
The last fight against Gamma and Reg, Nicola won clearly, but this fight I saw Nicola on another level, I believe. So for me, the opponent, Mary Abbey, looked maybe a bit more I'm not sure, but her height, that looked that she had could have more reach than Nicola, but Nicola handled it very well and took over the fight from the, like I said, from the second round, so it was I think going forward, Nick could have some big fights out there.
Well, she's got. I'll talk a bit more about this with Daz shortly, but she's got a 3-fight deal with Dennis Hobson's Fight Academy and Fight Zone on Fight Zone TV. That was the first of the 3 fights. I did an interview Dennis directly after the fight to get his reaction, and to say that he's buzzing about Nicola would be an understatement. But you'll see that on the interview. I think for me, I know Daz says not because he knows how good Nicola is, but on paper for me, that was a potential banana skin fight, just because of how tough Mary Abbey is. It was before last night. She got 12 fights, 10 knockouts. She'd been in with a very highly touted French girl at a higher weight, and gave her loads and loads and loads of trouble. That was the only loss on her record. No one has troubled her. No one's put her down. She was in a position last night, Nicola, where if she'd have, in my opinion, if she'd have put her foot on the gas, she'd have stopped Mary Abbey. But it just goes to show how tough she was, because from round 6, in my opinion, Mary Abbey was out on her feet. And I think from listening to things around ringside, they nearly pulled her out. The team nearly pulled her out. And the only thing that stopped the guys that were cornering her, pulling her out, was everybody that had travelled with her from Nigeria. They were putting a bit of pressure on the corner, which shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be anywhere near the corner. But it was very difficult to try and keep them away. They were very enthusiastic. I think it's probably the kindest way I can put it. And they were putting pressure on the corner not to pull her out. She was out on her feet. It just goes to show you just how much strength Nicola's got. Daz, I'll come to you now, mate. Like I said, there's interviews coming out on the channel over the next few days. The interesting one is the one with Dennis, because he talks about the fact that there's a 3-fight deal with you guys, but he's made it very clear that he thinks it needs to be more than 3 fights after that performance.
Yeah, we'll see. So
break it down for me, mate. You've obviously you had I know you had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, all ready and waiting in case things change within the fight. They didn't need to change. You know, you stuck with your game plan, plan A, which was basically to break Mary Abbey down.
Yeah.
Which if you look at it in a very basic way, that could be seen as a dangerous tactic with someone that punches the way she punches.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, I've obviously looked at her opponents. I chose Mary Abbey.
Yeah.
She was ranked higher than Nick. I looked at her opponents, and you know, listen, let's be honest, she's knocked some girls over who weren't great, but the unknown factor was, does she genuinely hit as hard as the record says? So, you know, you have to take that into account. You know, it don't matter who you're knocking over. If you're knocking them over, there's got to be something there. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have something in your face. So it was a case of having to navigate that and then just basically bullying the bully. I believe she fought Jason Marcel in France at bantamweight and lost. Well, from what I'm being told off a few people, a disputed decision. I've not seen the fight. I tried to get it. I've seen little clips of Jason Marcel, and she loads up her shots. She looked quite powerful. So, for Nick to do what she did, I think is a pretty big statement, to be fair. She went out in the first round. We sent her out to have a bit of a feel out. Let's see, what she's got. Maybe we even said, listen, catch a shot on gloves. Let's feel weight of it on gloves, and let's see what we think. She did get caught in that first round, I think, by a decent backhand off Mary, I think. If it bothered her, it didn't look like it. Fairly even round. I agree with Okan. I maybe, being a little bit kind to Mary, maybe would have gave her the first round a little bit. Just to make sure Nick got on it from then on. Second round, I asked her, and at first I says, "What power like?" And Nick just basically looked at me and went, "She's got none." So it was like, right, fair enough. I said, right, just increase pressure a little bit, gut up body, up and down. So it was a bit of a feeling out process again, just a little bit more intent. And then, she finished the round, Nick. If it had not been for ropes, Mary would have been on floor in that second. It was in our corner as well. Nick hit her with, I think, 3 shots. The last one, she would have gone down if it weren't for ropes, in my opinion. So then bell went. She sat down, and I just basically said to her, along with Ebony, I said, she's got nothing. She can't. You've bullied the bully. You've broken her spirit already. She didn't expect you to hit this hard. She didn't expect you to hit this fast. She didn't expect you to be this physically strong. You've broken the bully, basically. And from then on, she just took over, landed some heavy shots for me, and bossed the fight. The commentators, I watched it back, the commentators were saying they felt Nick had another 2 gears to go up. I can't really argue with that, to be fair.
I completely agree.
That's scary, to be honest.
That's why I said at the start, if Nick had put a foot down, in maybe round 7 or round 8, she would have stopped Mary Abbey because she was out.
Listen, they were going to pull her out, mate, from round 6, end of round 5, and then at end of round 6, at end of round 7, and then at end of round 8. They wanted to pull her out, but the guys who had travelled over with her were getting involved.
Yeah.
The board had to keep telling them to leave the corner. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, mate, she could have easily been pulled out because she were gone. I had a bit of a chat as well after with her manager, and listen, they were really good. They were really good guys, all of them. And the manager said, we didn't expect that. We thought Mary were just going to walk through her. We thought Mary were just going to bully her and walk through her and intimidate her. We didn't expect that. And Mary herself said Nick punches really hard. So it's all a positive.
That kind of catch and counter style that Nick adopted, as well as the boxing style that she's got a very good mixture that she can use for different styles of fighters now. And I know that you guys have got more up your sleeve to teach Nick in the coming years, but for this particular fight, the catch and counter style, working the body, working the head, making Mary Abbey work really hard. That first round, Mary Abbey tried to stamp her authority on the fight, and she took the center of the ring, which made Nick fight a little bit on the back foot. And I know that wasn't particularly what you guys were planning on doing.
No, we actually did. We actually said, not so much really engaging in the first. Have a little look, probably go on the back foot a little bit. Have a look, use some sharp shots, stab to the body, stuff like that. And that's what she did, to be fair. If you notice, even though she was on the back foot, her steps were quite limited. She wasn't too far out.
Yeah.
You know, and a couple of times when she like what she did is she sort of judged the distance a bit, and then she started to feint and draw that lead backhand off Mary. Do you know what I mean? So she just did really well. She showed what she's capable of. I mean, the knockdown in the last round were a beautifully timed shot. It was just, I know I've said that Mary basically she'd drop her hand before she threw it, and Nick threw the shot from like here. It just travelled. I mean, it didn't travel very far, flush on the chin, and dropped her. And if you watch, I don't know if you can see on replay, but Nick's like in corner, and I could see Nick wanted to get to her. But Mary stood up to her credit after that knockdown, and she were fine. She were a bit
extremely tough. I know you told me a little story last night that her team had told you that you didn't know about Mary and how tough she was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm a bit hesitant to repeat it, to be fair. But you know, all I'll say is apparently, I mean, she's a police officer in Nigeria, and apparently she was in quite a serious altercation with someone, and she, let's say it was a very violent altercation that she was at a disadvantage in, and she came out on top.
Which kind of tells you the mentality and the toughness of the girl.
Yeah, mate, very, very, very tough. Yeah, I totally agree that maybe I'm not saying it was a perfect performance, because Nick on odd occasion landed shots and then sort of allowed herself to be smothered a tiny bit. But what she did when she got smothered, Nick, she didn't look to just be smothered. She looked to be aggressive. You know, when Mary were clinching her, I mean, Nick were putting forearm in, trying to free her hands, and she was pulling her about. So I weren't too worried about that. Had Nick worked and then half a step back and let Mary walk onto some, she probably would have got stopped. But listen, that's a minor detail for me. You know, Nick was the boss outside, inside, in clinches. Another point as well is, I mean, when just before the knockdown, Nick had an absolutely horrendous cut on her forehead leading down past her eyebrow from a clash of heads, and you can actually see Nick wince. You know, she said it's almost as hard as any punch she's ever felt. You know, Mary's head must be made of concrete. But yeah, it opened her cut up, and Nick could feel it running down into her eye, and she was dabbing at it. And I saw it, and I shouted from ringside. Obviously, it was last round. And I shouted, I says, "Listen, just get on your jab. Don't worry. You can do this with one eye." I says, "Just get on your jab. Patience." So she got on her jab. She made sure her hands were up, and that's what led to the knockdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, she didn't panic when she got caught. She winced a bit because it was painful, but she soon regrouped and just got on with the job at hand.
That's for the first time in Nick's career. She's in quite a nice position of waking up the day after probably the best fight of her career so far. I'd say most convincing fight of her career. She's waking up the day after any fight for the first time, knowing she's got another fight waiting.
Yeah,
it's just a case of that about a fight being made. But previously to this, she's had no guarantees.
No.
And she's in a position, a strong position now, where she has got a guarantee of another fight, another two, in fact, with a promoter that you guys will see when you watch the interview I did with him. He's fully invested. He couldn't say enough about Nick last night. He was a bit surprised that Nick had the power that she had, because everyone that meets Nick outside of the ring, she won't say boo to a ghost. You know, she's got a slender frame. She's quietly spoken.
Have you seen though? Sorry, Andy. Sorry to butt in, but I pointed this out today. Have you seen how Nick's built? You know what I mean? She's slender, But if you look at her, if you watch, I mean, the fight is on YouTube. This last fight, and if you look, when Nick's got her back to the camera, mate, she's got a back that these professional bodybuilders had. You know, she's like wiry. I said she's, you know, she's not muscle like as in a bodybuilder muscle. She's like got wire for muscle.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she's, you know, power she can generate is just unreal, and she showed that in the 10th round.
Well, I think I personally does. I think Mary felt it very early in the fight.
Yeah. To be honest, mate, I think I was just going to say, yeah, scrap that. She's shown it all through fight. I mean, the shot she landed with at the end of the second, I think they set the tone. They set the tone of the fight.
Commenting the sidebar, SWS boxing. I've said Hopewell versus Ryan next ?
Would Shannon Ryan want that?
And what does Shannon Ryan bring to the table?
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, I think Shannon's mandatory for to be fair, Shannon's mandatory for European super flyweight title. So, you know, I can't see Shannon moving down to flyweight to fight Nick for a Commonwealth or even an international. So, yeah, I mean, listen, we've had a few call-outs as well on Twitter. You know, wanting to fight Nick, but these are super flyweights. Do you know what I mean? Nick now doesn't need to go out of a weight division.
No.
You know, she's a flyweight. You want to fight Nick, come down to flyweight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees that Ryan's going to fight at fly or whether she can even make fly.
Mate, she's mandatory for Stephanie Silva for European title. So
yeah, that fight is ordered, and Matchroom will I saw on the EBU site that Matchroom will have that fight on some of their upcoming shows.
Yeah, so Shannon really, she's not. Why would she move down to flyweight when she's been at super flyweight? Why would all her career? Why would she move down to flyweight to fight for Commonwealth title? She won't really.
I'm not gonna stick my neck on the line, and I'm not gonna say things are this kind of thing is definitely going to happen. But she's got a promoter now that isn't scared to back her if it's required. He isn't scared to put his money where his mouth is if it's required. If an opportunity comes up for Nicola in a position that she's not been in just yet, that could happen. And it could happen very quickly. He has big plans. Obviously, those fights and negotiations still have to be made with whether Daz, Nick's manager, and the team, and Dennis are looking to potentially get for Nicola. And I'm sure those talks will happen over the next couple of months and over Christmas. He has a target, though, of around about February. Is that right, Daz?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, February for the next one. I should think the cut will be fine by then.
And we're also in a position where Nicola, she's been offered things in the past. She's been offered big shows, but they've always been on other people's terms. So
yeah,
shows.
Mate, honestly, she's been offered silly fights. You know what I mean? These people have tried to get her in with super like featherweights. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And it's like, really? Now she's got a bit of structure to her career. And listen, she's just going to keep getting better. And I always say with Nick, she's got something. Well, she's got a few assets, to be fair, that are crucial, but she's got the engine. She's got an engine like, I mean, she finished that fight last night and she could have done another 10. But she's got an engine. And I call it a take your soul engine. She takes your soul away. Do you know what I mean? She just takes I mean, she didn't really work the body on Mary Abbey last night as much as what we wanted. She worked it, but not as much as what we wanted. So, you know, she's just got an engine that it doesn't stop. It's unreal.
It's a little bit difficult to work a body of a fighter that's got the shorts around the neck, though, mate.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Andy, they were a bit lower last night. They were a bit
not
lower.
very low, though.
No, they're a bit lower than they usually were. But yeah, I mean, she's just got that engine. She can punch. There's no. I know she's got one stoppage in her fights, but she's she can bang. It's it's a snappy power.
Well, I mean, for me, this is a long time coming that Nicola's been given this backing and got the opportunity that she's now got, and it's well deserved because I've seen the sacrifices she puts in and out of the ring, the sacrifices Daz and Eb's put in and out of the ring. Yeah, I'm so excited about what's coming next, lads. I can't explain from hearing conversations last night that that I'm very privileged to be in the vicinity of those conversations, and very openly, Dennis Hobson was speaking very openly about what he wants to do with Nick. So it's really, really interesting to see what's happening. Daz, you've got to be excited about the future.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Since I started with her, I've been excited. Nothing's changed that. Even the loss to Emma Dolan, I knew it was a blip in the road, and she'd learned from it, and she has. It's made her a better fighter. I mean, look at what Emma Dolan's gone on to do, and will do as well in the future. Emma Dolan will be a world champion. I've no doubt about that. No disgrace in losing to Emma Dolan, and learning from it is valuable.
Darren, I'm not ignoring you, mate. But I know
That's
that
right.
you I know that you hadn't had a chance to see Nick's fight back yet. You were watching the box card, which we're going to come on to next for anyone watching the sidebar. We're going to be coming on to the box card. You've heard what Daz has said there. You've heard what Hawkan said. Anything you want to chuck in the mix?
No, I just want to say, obviously, congratulations to Daz, and I'm looking forward to seeing what is next for Nicola. As Daz just said, it was no shame to the defeat she had, and I think that I looked at the opponent she had last night, and it was a very tough opponent. And like I say, I haven't seen the fight, but it's a really good win for her, and I do hope she gets some decent shows very soon.
What I was kind of alluding to, Darren, a minute ago was she's under no pressure to get on any of the shows. Fights have got their own arena. Dennis Hobson's got his own arena. Where Nicola fought last night, that's a given for any fight at any time. And with Dennis's backing, anything can happen. But from what Dennis has done previously with his fighters is he's not scared that if an opportunity comes up for Nicola to fight on a different platform, there'll be no ego there. He's quite happy for his fighters to go and fight on other platforms.
He'll be there as well, part of the team.
Of course he will.
He's Dennis creates opportunities. I mean, look what he did with Clinton Woods. Look where he took Clinton Woods. He was part of Ricky Hatton's team as well. Dennis has brought, a lot of fighters, opportunities. But the good thing is as well, what I like is regarding Nick, she's now ranked number 1 in Britain, by BoxRec. Listen, BoxRec changed their minds as much as I changed my underwear, to be fair. But
True.
And there's some cracking fighters in that flyweight division. You know what I mean? There's probably, obviously, I'm going to say Nick deserves that, but there's a choice of probably from 4 or 3 where you could say they should be number 1, and you can't really argue.
Yeah.
But the big plus for me is she's number 21 in world. And that's what matters.
And that's only going to go up, Daz, as the fights go.
Exactly. She's only going to get better. So,
And I mean, a possible route going forward. I'm not saying this is what was discussed last night because it wasn't, but a possible route going forward will be to try and get one of the international titles or continental titles for one of the 4 big bodies, to kind of push Nick up them rankings a bit more.
Yeah, I think Dennis is going to try and lobby to get a rank bit IBF. So I think if you rank bit IBF, you may be getting WBO. Is it? I think something like that. Yeah, it's all positive. All positive. I mean, and then when you're ranked by them, all it takes is, an opponent pull out and one at champions to think, yeah, well, who can step in, or a voluntary defence. Listen, I'm not sure who'd want to choose Nick as a voluntary, but you never know. I mean, listen, that last night were a voluntary. Nick didn't have to fight her. That were a voluntary defence. Yeah,
it was. It wasn't a very tough choice, but well matched from you, Daz. You knew what Nick was capable of, and obviously the game plan that you and Ebony put in place and the stuff that you've been working on as a team was perfect for this fight.
A fight I would like to see is Viviana Ruiz. She's high ranked at the WBA and coming.
Yeah, I think she's number 18 in world. I think is she? Yeah, she's number 18 in world, and I think she's WBA interim.
Number 4. I checked. Number 4 on WBA.
Yeah. Jack Gladman's just mentioned someone to me that's number 18 in world who's she's WBA interim champion or something. I can't remember what name he said. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think Fundora's fighting Alanis in a unification, I believe. But yeah, I mean, listen, let's just get an international title, another step up or an opponent. That's the main thing. And then, then let's go again. Same.
SWS Boxing in the sidebar, Daz, says, well done last night, coach.
Thank
welcome
you,
to
mate.
the show, by the way, SWS.
I was just saying thank you, mate. But yeah, we're team effort. Me and Miss Bridges, partner in crime.
The dynamic duo, as I called you last night.
Yeah.
And also Claire, excuse me, Claire said, "Evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show." So, anything else you want to add, Daz, before we move on to the boxer show?
No, mate. I think I've got limelight enough for Nick. So, yeah.
Okay. Let me. There we go. Right. We'll go straight in. We'll go straight in, Daz, with probably the shock of the night, and that was the return of Shannon Courtney. She was in originally. I think it was down as a 4-rounder, but I don't think it was ever going to be a 4-rounder. I think it was always going to be a 6-rounder, and it was just a typo of some because we were all really surprised. How could she possibly be a 4-rounder? I think it was always going to be a 6-rounder. Hawkan has said that this was originally meant to be made for feather, but she didn't make featherweight. So the fight actually L place at cat weight.
She came out on 128.
2 pound over.
Yeah.
So the score. So that was obviously being a 6-rounder, scored by the referee. Official scorecard was 58-56 to Catherine Ramos. Obviously, there's the obvious situation with the connection with Ebony from their previous fight. There's always been a little bit of back and forth between the two. There's always been the possibility of a second fight happening at some point down the line. So Daz, obviously now you're Ebony's coach, UK coach. let's have your reaction to this result, and what. Firstly, the reaction to the result. Secondly, where do you think that leaves Shannon Courtenay now?
I didn't really know too much about this girl, to be fair, but you know, her record was decent. After 2 years out, it may, probably look like a bit of an ambitious match. I didn't see the fight, but I've been told that 58-56 is quite generous to Shannon Courtenay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A few people have said that. Like I said, I'll have to watch it myself, but I had a bit of a busy night last night. But yeah, I've been told that. Listen, I don't know Shannon. I just know from what I see. But yeah, her and Ebony had a bit of a cracking fight. It was, a close fight. I mean, I'm not going to tell you who I thought won that fight because I'll sound biased, but I did say it at the time. Yeah, I mean, Shannon, she's come out and said she's had some problems. With
May I just say there before we go any further, very, very brave of her to do so.
Mate, listen, I was just going to say, I can sympathise and I can relate to what she said. And yeah, extremely brave, and I wish her well going forward. I don't know, mate. She's come out today and released a bit of a statement, and to be fair, mate, it's quite classy. She's acknowledged that, anyone else may have chosen a softer opponent. She didn't want to. Whether that's true or not, only Shannon and her team and promoters know. She's said, from where she were in this dark place, just getting in that ring is a win. So yeah, I'll back that and say, yeah, from where you were getting in that ring, you're a winner. I think she was sort of alluding to she's just going to go back now, regroup a bit, and come back and fight again.
My understanding is she's got no promotion deal at the minute with anyone.
No, I mean, the worrying thing, mate, is I've seen a lot of, I follow her on social media, and I've seen a lot of training videos, pretty much every day. She's training, she's on treadmill, she's on curve runner, she's always training. So I start to worry then when she can't make featherweight. I start to think, why can't you make featherweight? Yeah. I'm going to state the obvious as well. She's obviously had quite a bit of facial work done, cosmetically. I don't know, mate. I'm not an expert. I mean, listen, my missus has cosmetic stuff done, but she's not getting punched in face. I don't know if it'd have an effect. So I can't really comment on that. I saw her at the weigh-in. I saw a photo of her at the weigh-in, and she looked like she was sucking her stomach in. Do you know what I mean? I sort of looked and thought, that's a bit alarming, and I don't know, mate, there's some alarm bells going off that if she's putting as much training content on as she is, how is she not making the weight? It's featherweight. She's a bantamweight, what she were.
She seemed to make bantamweight fairly comfortably when she
was
fighting at that as well.
So how is she not making featherweight? It's a bit alarming, mate. There's quite a few alarm bells.
I mean, the only thing I can think, does, just playing devil's advocate, is she's been out the ring 2 years.
Yeah.
You've just spoke about the difficulties that she's had. She said it herself that she was in hospital. If she's not trained during that period, or for the majority of that period, to get herself back to a position where she's anywhere near the fight weight, has maybe been a real struggle.
Yeah, I think that's why, though, she's obviously fought this fight at featherweight.
Yeah.
So to not then, I mean, she's 2 divisions above her weight.
Absolutely.
So to then not make the actual weight is a bit. And listen, mate, I don't know if any of you guys follow her on social media, but she's always got training videos on.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I'm following her
every day or can
Yeah.
into it. You know what I mean? And she looks like she's putting the work in. So I can't understand.
Yeah, maybe she has been very busy with media. Maybe that has have an effect. She was recently at the Malta show and co-commentate.
Yeah, possibly. But then she's got to sort of take a look at herself, and her team have got to take a look at her as well and say, well, you've been out 2 years. If you're getting in, you're fighting. You shouldn't really be traveling to, listen, should be in bed, resting. Ready for your morning runs or your late runs, and I don't know. We don't know what goes on team wise. You don't know what arrangement they've got, but it's a shame. It's a shame that she's lost. I mean, obviously, Ebony's out of the ring at the minute, but Ebony will be back next year. There's no question of that. I think Andy saw little conversations last night of Ebony. I think he could tell she was getting itchy knuckles. She delivered a body shot to yours truly as well. Yeah, I mean, she'll be back next year, Ebony. As far as that fight happening again, will Shannon Courtney be fighting next year?
Can I just jump in there? I had the opportunity to speak to Ebony last night a little bit, and just by looking at somebody's eyes whether they've still got hunger. Ebony, trust me, all of these people on social media that do nothing but knock Ebony for whatever, and make out that they know who she is and what she's about. All of these people that have turned around and said she's done, she's finished, she'll never fight again. Guys, you don't know what you're talking about. Believe me. I mean, after the conversation I've had last night, the conversations I have with Daz on a regular basis, there's no two ways about it. There's no doubt Ebony will fight again.
Million%. But obviously, going back to Shannon, I don't know. I don't know whether she'll be fighting next year. Do you know for her own mental health though, if this is what helps her, I hope she is. I hope she does fight again. Yeah. Listen, she's a talented woman. There's no two ways about it. She can have a scrap. Ebony's gone on record as saying hardest she's ever been hit is off Shannon Courtney. So listen, I wish Shannon Courtney well, and I hope she's on top of her demons, and I hope to see her again.
Darren,
yep.
The real shock for me at the start of the old night was the fact that it was the first fight of the night. We're talking about an ex-world champion here. She might have been out the ring for 2 years. She might not have a promotion deal with Boxer, but she's still a name. And not only was she first fight of the night, she wasn't even on the YouTube show. This was on, I don't know, TikTok, was it, Daz?
Yes, it was on TikTok before the prelim.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. There's obviously a reason why Boxer have done this. Maybe they're seeing something that in the training or things get said around boxing, guys. Whispers get told. People hear things. I can't understand if they're going to have her on their show, why they would do this.
Yeah.
What's your reaction, mate?
Well, I agree with you on that. I mean, as regards the whole show, I thought it was a bit of a strange setup. I mean, Boxer released the poster, which was saying that TKV and Franklin Ignatius was going to be on the main show. I believe it ended up being on the prelims. So that, and then they done it where they done the Dan Aziz fight after the main event, but technically Dan Aziz was the main event because it was the main fight. I don't get I don't get the logic with what boxers were doing there. I agree what you were saying. Shannon Courtney's the name. Fran Hennessy, I believe, as well. She was on the prelims as well.
That surprised me. We'll come on to Fran Hennessy's fight next.
Yeah, I don't get that. But going about Shannon Courtney, I saw an interview with her the other day, and she seems like she's been humbled a lot. Like, you know, she's had problems outside the ring. She seems a different person to me. 2 years of inactivity is definitely going to have a major impact on when you come back. It was a toughish opponent. But the interview that I saw, she was already talking about, I'm now with Spencer Brown. I'm going to be in Saudi after this fight. And I just thought, I thought straight away, stop thinking too far ahead. You've had 2 years out of the ring. Let's get down to earth. Let's see how you do. That now, what she said, has completely 360'd. She ain't going to be in Saudi next. She needs to get herself back in training properly. Forget putting everything on social media and your little clips of, I'm working really hard. I agree with Daz, and I don't want to, like, you know, she's down at the minute. I don't want to, like, kick her too much when she's down. But for me, she's putting the clips on social media rather than putting in the work that she needs to do. That's my opinion. But also, I want to say, and I actually put a tweet, I've actually spoke to a few people on X about this as well. I don't get the hate for Shannon Courtney. There's so much hate on social media, particularly Twitter, for Shannon Courtney. And I'm actually asking people, what has she done for people to be that hatred towards her? Mental health now.
To be fair, sorry to interrupt, but
that's all right.
I'd kick myself if I didn't say it. To be fair, mate, and I'm not just saying it, but you can say the same for Ebony. What has she actually done? Listen, and I totally agree with you, mate, about Shannon Courtney. Yeah. What has she done to get the hate that she gets? You know, and
it's been successful. That the answer is, lads, they've been successful, and people don't like it.
I do think there is a lot of hatred towards certain fighters where that comes from. And the only thing I can think of, and I don't want to, like, judge people, but is there something wrong in your own life that you want to, like,
mate, honestly, you've just hit the nail bang on the head.
Yeah, honestly. Like, it's just, there's so much hatred.
Yeah.
And, like, I just look at it and I think she's come out, whatever your opinions are on, you know, mental health, some people have got the opinion, it's overhyped these days, whatever. That's people's opinion. But she's come out, she said, I've had mental health problems. I've hit the lowest of the low. I didn't even think I'd be fighting now. I could have taken my own life or whatever, like, you know, the way she's feeling. So for me, I look at it as a person. I just think, I've heard them out, like, now. She's lost a fight. She's lost. Don't go on social media. I'm so glad she's lost. Like, I just don't get, like, where people are at these days with. We all have our fighters that we're fans of. You know, we can come on here, give our opinions. I'm not a big fan. I used to be a big fan of Tyson Fury. I'm not a big fan of him nowadays because of the way he's acted. But I don't run like, to be honest, I probably have at times been guilty in the past of going, Fury can reap what he sows type of things. But I don't, like, start running about, Tyson Fury lost, and I hope he goes back to where he, like, I just don't get.
No.
We've got a real bad problem now with people absolutely loving it when someone hits rock bottom. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you've hit nail on the head, mate. There's no you can really add to that. There is something wrong with your own life. If you're, I mean, some of the things I've seen aimed at Shannon Courtney is absolutely disgusting. Likewise, some of the things I've seen aimed at Ebony is absolutely disgusting. I mean, I see this.
I'm going to add one thing to this, Dad. Sorry for interrupting.
No, go on.
The stuff that's aimed at Ebony doesn't just come from no marks in the world. It comes from people in the boxing game, people that should know better.
Yeah, listen, there's a one that comes up all the time. And every time I see it, I just raise my eyes and, like, you know, it's always this OnlyFans, always this. And it's like, You know, so listen, Michaela Mayer's on OnlyFans. You know,
Andy
Millions of,
Ruiz
millions of
Not me.
sportsmen,
Andy
millions of,
Ruiz was on
yeah,
OnlyFans.
Derek
millions of
Chisora's on
sportsmen and women,
OnlyFans.
millions of sportsmen and women around the world are on OnlyFans.
Yeah, mate, honestly, and you know, they think that because what they do outside the ring to, you know, make a living as well, because you can't obviously rely on boxing. We are it is at the minute.
Yep.
They think that detriments to your like sort of to your boxing skills. I mean, I've seen a couple of interviews, and you know, I saw someone say that. I mean, there's a fight coming up between Mayo Yoshida and Sharetta Metcalf, obviously for Ebony's old title, and obviously Sharetta Metcalf will call him for the Ebony fight, you know, and this that other. And I saw someone say that Sharetta Metcalf's got more fight in her than Ebony, and I'm like, really? You know, she's like a track athlete. But I'm not going to slag Sharetta Metcalf because that's how she fights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's how she fights is how she fights. Let's hope they all fight each other and let's see these fights. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, going back to Daz's point, the hatred I've seen for Shannon Courtney, I think is, it's crazy. You know, what, I mean, she's come out and been open and honest and like, you know, I think it's took a lot of guts from her to come out.
Well, yeah, what I don't get is like she's lost a fight. I love the boxing. She's lost a fight. I just think to myself, why are people like over the moon? She's lost.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like, you know. I watch a fight. Oh, that was a bad loss. That was. We debate on it and chat about it. But I ain't like absolutely ecstatic that someone's lost. I just really, really don't get the. But this is the life. This is the world we're in now. So.
Yeah,
Let people go on with it.
Yeah, mate, honestly, I think you've hit nail on the head, mate. I think it's the fact that I think jealousy has a lot to do with it. You know, yeah. I mean, I mean this in the most respectful way to women, but I think most of the women who spit hate at Shannon Courtney and Ebony look like back end of buses, to be fair. You know what I mean? And
make a couple of comments up, Daz.
Yeah.
So Claire said OnlyFans is another way to promote yourself and can be done in a respectful way. This is the thing, Claire, that people that don't understand what OnlyFans is about, they see some of the people that are on OnlyFans and some of the stuff they do on OnlyFans, they think that everybody acts that way. I know for certain that Ebony Bridges does everything on OnlyFans in a respectful manner. Just because I know the person now, I've been around her. I've seen what she does. I've seen the way she is. And Daz will back me up.
Were you a member?
Oh no, not at all, mate. No, not at all. But I just know who Ebony is as a person.
Yeah. Do you know what though, mate? Right. I'm like, I just think it like this, and this is, you know, whatever Ebony wants to do on OnlyFans, Ebony is entitled as a human being to do on OnlyFans. Absolutely. Who's got the right to judge what she does, right? Whatever Shannon Courtney wants to do, Shannon Courtney can do. You know what I mean? Who's got the right to judge? Yeah.
But why should what they do on OnlyFans or anything else? Why should that have any effect? Why should that have any effect on what they do as a fighter? Well, it's a completely different part of the world.
It's not. It's nothing to do with it. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with it. It's like Nick, right? Nick works for police, and then she's a boxer, and it's like people saying, well, shouldn't really be working for police if you're a boxer. Sort of promoting violence, that, isn't it? Goes against everything that police are saying, that, doesn't it? Oh, you shouldn't be violent, but she's a professional boxer employed by police. Oh, that's a bit naughty, that. Listen, it's absolute, and I'm going to use word bollocks.
Yeah, it is bollocks.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what, mate? I'll end conversation with this because I've probably given it too much airtime. These negative, we all have. We've probably given these negative knobheads too much airtime already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all I'll say is, if you want to go on on social media behind your keyboard, you know, giving Shannon Courtney shit, giving Ebony shit, giving Michaela Mayer shit, giving Derek Chisora shit for being on OnlyFans, and Ryan Garcia, who Claire just said, maybe a little bit of free advice. If you put as much effort into your own life as you're doing into others, you might be a bit happier. Just a thought.
Just another comment in that sidebar. I'll come to you 1 second, Orkan. Jack Gladman is put. Actually, really respect Shannon Courtney's interview on Stomping Ground. I know her and Oscar are close, but
that's the one I watched. Stomping Ground, I think that was the one I watched.
Yeah, she was very honest and open on that.
Yeah, it's good.
Probably, if that is the case, and she does know Oscar, Oscar's an absolutely lovely lad, by the way. If she does know him, that has probably helped the fact that she's been open and honest in the interview, or as open, and she's probably felt more comfortable if she does know him, because that often happens in interviews. You know, I get my best interviews with people that I've had a bit of a relationship with in the past. Perhaps I've done interviews with in the past. So, I think that was a very, very open, and I said it on Thursday. I think it was a very, very open and honest interview, and she didn't need to do that. Really, she didn't need to tell everybody, you know, all of what's gone off, but she did because she felt she perhaps needed to. It was Jack that said Ryan Garcia is also on OnlyFans. Claire thinks I know too much. I think she's backing up what you said, Darren.
What's that?
Darren says he thinks that I'm subscribing to OnlyFans because I know too much.
So what if you are?
I'm not.
No, but so what?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah. The board. So Jack's put. The board did say that back in the day about serving police turning
over.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't understand why. What's that got to do with it?
No, I don't know. I think it's because I've just used that daft, you know,
and that analogy.
You know, that daft analogy. Yeah. I mean, I'm not being funny, but you know, I mean, like I've said, do we? You know, some people on social media need to concentrate more on their own life, to be fair, rather than, you know, listen, I've got my views on, you know, all you have to do is some of these that are giving negativity are, you only have to look at, you know, the profile pictures, and, you know, I think police should be checking their hard drives, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's nonsense, mate. And that's why they don't really get no replies off these, you know, people in the limelight who they're abusing. I mean, there's the odd reply, but I mean, come on. Do you know what I mean?
I think, lads, we've done this to a death now.
We have, mate. Listen, we've given, but to be fair, it did need addressing. Daz put out a massive point for me, you know, and he's hit nail on head.
Yeah.
They've got sad lives. So,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think we all agree on that, to be fair.
Hawkan, I'm going to give you the first comment on Fran Hennessy. She got a points victory, very clean points victory. Official scorecard 78-74. A little bit surprised she was on the YouTube show.
Yeah, it was a very surprising when she fought for her title. For her first title, that she wasn't on the main card. I can't understand that.
I mean, this you can argue that the 1, 2, 3, 4 bigger names above her that we'll go through in a second. You can argue they've got bigger profiles. You can argue they're in the all of them are in the mix for bigger titles. So maybe that was the thinking.
Yeah, but they could have added her fight to the main card.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah,
together with those.
Start the show a bit earlier. Yeah, I completely agree, mate. But yeah, Fran Hennessy moving on quite well. Would you agree, Håkan, with her career so far?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Fran last night.
Darren,
So
sorry, Nick. Carry on. Sorry, Håkan.
So going forward, I think she can step up now in the division.
Yeah, absolutely. Darren, did you just watch the main card, or did you get a chance to see some of this YouTube?
I can't lie to you, Andy. I did not see this fight. I saw like the feedback from a lot of people. Good win against a very tough opponent. I like Fran Hennessy. She's I like her personality as well. She's very down to earth. Seems a very nice girl. And I mean, I'm interested to see how boxer moving forward again. Now she's but I agree. Like, going back onto the last point, I agree. I think if you're going to try and build someone, you've got to give them a bit more of exposure than YouTube prelims. I know she's still very early on in her career, but I think she needs to start being more on the focus of Sky Sports.
Very surprising to me. And the fighter that we're going to move on to now, I understand this was a one-fight deal. I don't think he'd got anything signed before this fight, and that's Anthony Yarde. Am I right in thinking that it was just a one-fight deal?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
So if you're going to put anyone on the prelims, put the man on the prelims that hasn't stuck his neck on the line and signed more than a one-fight deal with you. That being said, routine win for Anthony Yarde. How many times, though, are we going to see Anthony Yarde in a tune-up?
I know.
Daz, I'll come to you first. How many tune-up fights Anthony Yarde had in his career?
Mate, he's had more tune-ups than Slash's guitar. It's like, what's going off? Do you know what I mean?
It's a very, very strange built career, in my opinion. I don't get it. He's been in very high profile fights.
Yeah, I mean,
2 world title fights, which you've got to give him the utmost respect in, because he did really, really well against the 2 killers in the division at the time.
Yeah, listen, to me, I think he should have achieved a lot more by now than he has. I think he's a talented kid. I mean, he looks like he's one of them old gas after 4 rounds if he don't take you out, but he's not. He's a bit more than that.
Yeah.
He is heavy-handed, obviously. I don't know, mate. I sometimes question the training methods that they do. Yeah, I'm not overly sure. There's a thing around sparring, isn't there? That he don't really, spar. It's more.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's more technical sparring.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. Listen, him and Tundi, they've been together from beginning, and he obviously trusts Tundi, so it's up to him. But yeah, mate, honestly, Anthony fought one of my pals, and obviously he stepped in at late notice, Snowy, and he just looked like he was destined to do good things. Even his defeats, his stock rose after that Kovalev for me.
Yeah.
And
the Beterbiev fight.
Yeah, and after Beterbiev. But they don't seem to have capitalised on it. And
he has a Beterbiev fight, and then he goes into a fight over what's right and what's wrong on contracts with Frank Warren.
Yeah.
Why'd you put yourself in a position like that? I just don't understand it.
I mean, I'm not being funny, mate, but it could have been Boatsi v Yarde.
It should have been Boatsi v Yarde, and it should have been Boatsi v Yarde on one of the Riyadh seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, mate. It's a funny one. He didn't look great, did he? I mean, let's be honest. He didn't look great. He's got to do much, much better than that.
So comments in the sidebar, Jack Gladman said they had to pay enough as Queensberry had matching rights, hence main card placement, but he looked awful. He's also put he allegedly does 1 open spar per camp, which I want Daz's opinion on as madness to me.
Crazy, in my opinion.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, if that's all he does, I don't know. I just think
the thing is, it's not taken away from his skill. If that is the case, and he doesn't spar, it's not taken away from his skill. But what I would say is, how much better would he be if he'd had tough sparring?
Yeah, I mean, sparring not even tough, just like good sparring that'll benefit him against the opponent. Do you know what I mean?
Benefit him down the stretch, mate, when he's going into championship rounds.
Yeah, if that's true, that's absolute madness for me. So
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Difficult one to see what happens now with Anthony Yard. He's such a big name, though, Daz, that even if he's got no promotional deal, he'll get fights. But I haven't seen this. Jack's saying he looked awful.
yeah,
Darren,
a few people have said that, mate.
do you agree?
Yeah, he started very well, quick out the blocks. First 10 seconds, Vilkan's on the floor. You think, oh, this could be a real good statement here. He didn't take him out, and as the rounds went by, Vilkan started catching Yard, boxing well, nicking some of the rounds. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, going into round 9, 8, 9, and 10, I was thinking, this is a close fight. Surprisingly, this is a close fight. Yard's going to have to take these last couple of rounds. And you know what? I gave you Anthony Yard, but it could have been 1-2 rounds max. 2 rounds max for me won that fight by.
Well,
I think they gave him
official scorecards, mate. Official scorecard from the referee: 98-92 to Anthony Yard.
Never in a million years was that.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that.
Yeah, there's no way. Vilkan's, you know what? We're saying Anthony Yard, bad performance. Credit to Vilkan's, short notice, come over here, put the fight of his life on. But he should not really be taking Anthony Yard, going the distance with Anthony Yard after getting dropped in the first 10 seconds. And for me, a close fight. But I look at him now, Anthony Yard, and I don't think he's improved enough for me. And he's stuck with the same trainer in Tunde for a long time. For me, I think it could be a case of he needs to change trainers. I think he's got to try something different to progress the way I think us fans think he should be progressing. The sparring thing, I agree with Daz. I mean, he's the coach, but for me, that's madness again. Like you say, potentially there's some monster fights out there for him. We all want to see the Buatsi fight. Judging on that, Buatsi would murder him. But I also do think Anthony Yard is a fighter that raises his game for the better opponents. I do think he's one of them fighters. And I think he even said it in an interview after. But that performance, you can't say nothing more. It was very, very poor. Let's see what he does next time. But they need to stop these BS fights of, bringing the Vilkans over. And we can, like I say, close fight. But let's get him a high-profile fight now and let's see what he can do instead of these fighters that keep putting him in with.
Do you think he's one of these, Daz, who's a bit untrainable?
Possibly.
Likes things his own way, likes to dictate what he's going to do in camp.
Possibly, because I saw the interview with him. I can't remember what channel it was, where he was saying about they were talking to him about the Frank Warren issues and that, and he was saying about some of the things that have been said are lies. I'm right. Like he was all very much about I'm right, they're wrong. But some of these, we all know what Frank Warren's like. Let's be honest, he's the best in the game. He's not no slouch as regards. I can't see him just coming out and lying about everything about Anthony Yard. He's no slouch in the game. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
But there is possibly with that, but
his track record speaks for itself. I mean, where he started. I mean, Frank started unlicensed.
Yeah.
Frank were promoting Lenny McLean, who were known as a governor. I think they were related. They're related. He started there, and look what he's gone on to do. I mean, he's had what people would say is a bit of a slump, because obviously Matchroom and Eddie have done this, sort of. People thought, yeah, Queensberry finished, but now look where Frank is. I mean, I think he's 10-1 against Matchroom fighters. Frank knows when to put fighters in and what fighters to put in against who. He's not daft, not at all.
No, and Anthony Yard, like, we can all like dispute and think about what we know about like trainers and training methods and all that, but I just look at things. I'm a bit of a one sometimes. I think if you keep going out on the golf course and you keep doing no good, even if you change your shoes, you've done something. I'm just one of them people sometimes. I think change something, and Dubois done it. AJ's done it. AJ hasn't always pulled it off, but Dubois gone to Don Charles now. He's doing great things. Like you've said before, Daz, you're the coach. Certain fighters need certain trainers.
Yeah,
and I think the Tunde and Yard bromance has sort of come to an end for me. I think something needs to change. My opinion.
I mean, I look and I think that I'm not sure whether him and Tunde have ever had crossed words and sort of. It seemed like the parting ways.
Pally.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's happened. I mean,
whereas he probably needs someone sometimes to get him into gear and say, like, put him in his place, like that's piss poor type of thing. But
I mean,
like you said, would Tunde be that guy if they're so pally?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, mate, he'd probably, would he be hard work? Would he be told to do something off a trainer? And if he didn't like it, right, his comfort zone. I mean, that's a mad thing to say, really. We always thought that he likes to stay in his comfort zone. That just to me says the talent he's got, and he's not fulfilling it. He doesn't seem to be fulfilling his potential.
Well, I think it was Manny Robles who trained Andy Ruiz, particularly the second fight. He come out and said after, like, I couldn't train him because he was just not in the game. He was, going out partying. He's Mexican.
Did a Buster Douglas, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did a Buster Douglas.
At certain point, and Manny Robles basically said after, I don't want to train him because he's going to be like the way he is. And he's proved right, really, because Andy Ruiz, just as an example, lacks the discipline. And I'm not saying Yard lacks the discipline, but I do think he could be one of those fighters where sometimes instead of the pally bromance approach, you need someone to go, no, we're changing this and you're doing things this way.
No, yeah. If you listen, this is what I want from you. This is what I want you to do. Can you do it?
Yeah.
If he says no, say, right, I'll see you later. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
If he says if he says yes and he doesn't do it, then say, right, pack your stuff up and nice to meet you.
I think it could be a case of things have got a bit too comfortable for him. I think that could be the case.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think it could be. But let's see. Let's see what going forward. But I don't think, like the Anthony Joshua, he can't go back to fighting guys that we know he's going to beat. I think Anthony Arno needs to be in top level fights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he just needs to take a look at himself and his surroundings. And I think, he don't seem daft. I'm not one to tell fighters to leave trainers, but if things are clearly not working, it's a dangerous sport. And I always said it, as a fighter, you've got to do what you feel is best for you. And whether it works out like that, then, you don't know, do you? But if you're doing something at a minute that's not working, then you need to change it.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm very conscious of time. Let's move on to the next topic. Next fight. And I'll come straight to Hawkan with this one. Tulane Mbenj beat Michael McKinson. Official scorecards. This was for the IBO, the vacant IBO welterweight title. Official scorecards 117, 111, and 2 judges gave it 116, 112. So they all saw it very, very clean, very, very clear to Mbenj. Hawkan, this is a bit of a shock to me. This fight, I've not seen it. The result and the gap in the result is a big shock to me. I touted Mickinson as one of the best welterweights that we have in the country. Don't understand what's gone off here. We spoke on Thursday about why he's not getting big fights, why he's not being picked up by a big promoter, and why he's not headlining, or he's not chief support on fights, why he's always mid cards. Are you surprised at this result?
Yeah, but not very surprised. I thought that Mickinson would win a very close decision going to the fight.
Yeah.
Mbenga has only 2 losses against undefeated fighter when they fought on a close decision. So this was a very tough fight for Michael Mickinson.
Darren, you've also seen this fight.
Yeah.
Are the scorecards right?
Possibly a little bit wide, but he definitely lost. I mean, he started well, Mickinson, some nice boxing, but as the fight drew on, I feel like Mbenga drew Mickinson into his style of fight, whereas Mickinson is not that style of fighter. And yeah, he got roughed up at times. Mickinson, as we know, he's not what you call a power puncher. He landed some shots, but yeah, Mbenga drew him into his style of fight and won it by, I'd say, 3 or 4 rounds. I'm not entirely shocked by the result. I thought it was going to be a tough opponent, but I didn't think he would beat Mickinson sort of as comfortably as what he did. But it was just the wrong tactics for me. I thought Mickinson got drew into Mbenga's style of fight, and it's just not the way he fights.
Daz, where does this leave Mickinson now?
I mean, he was fairly avoided anyway, weren't he?
Yeah.
You know, he was struggling to get fights.
I mean, with this result and the manner of the result, he was an avoided fighter. Maybe he won't be anymore.
Well, maybe not, but maybe, you know, it might be the excuse that some fighters need not to fight him, you know, well, he's lost. You know,
yeah.
You know, it could go that way. You don't know, do you? But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't really know too much about the opponent. I had a little look, saw he'd lost a couple of close decisions, like Akan said earlier. But I thought the Ortiz performance maybe were better form against them too. Maybe, you know, stood him in a bit better stead. But no, I mean, like I said, I've not seen it, but apparently, you know, the right man won.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mickinson now. Yeah, it's very strange. He's going to come down in years to come as a fighter that didn't fill his potential, in my opinion. Jack in the sidebars put scorecard spot on for me, and he's also put Mickinson now not top dog even in his own family. Wow.
Well, it's a bit harsh, Jack. I think he's still a bit better than his brother, to be fair. Bit harsh, Jack.
Yeah. Very
harsh. Little bit kicking a man while he's down. That is, mate.
Moving on to the fight that ended up being the last fight on the card, but still wasn't classed as headliner. And that's Louis Edmondson beat Dan Aziz. Score cards read 115, 112, 114, 113, and then a 114 even. So the scorecard's very, very close. Again, I've not seen this fight. I'll come to you, Håkan. It sounds like it was a very close fight. Were the scorecards correct?
What I've seen on social media, I couldn't watch the fight, just the highlights.
Sorry, yeah,
but what I've seen on social media, that the decision was it was the scorecard wasn't according to what I have seen. They thought that the scorecard was too wide, and Lewis Edmondson should have lost it. What I've seen.
Darren, you saw the fight.
Yep.
How did you score it?
I had Dan Aziz winning, so I thought the scorecards were incorrect. Can't really probably argue with a draw as such, but I probably had it by Dan Aziz by a round, probably maximum 2, but I don't get the... Did you say they scored 1-1-5?
1-1-5, 1-1-2, so that means they give it Edmondson by 3 rounds. The other one gave it Edmondson by a round, and then the last judge scored it a draw.
Not that 1-1-5, 1-1-2 for me is a shocker of a card. Like I say, I think the possible best that Edmondson could have got was a draw, but fair play, he's won the fight. I mean, some people are saying now that they're going to line up the Ben Whittaker fight next for him. They reckon that's what they're sort of like channeling for. Dan Aziz was the aggressor in the fight. Edmondson was trying to fight like the male version of Sky Nicholson, to be honest, on the back foot. Wasn't doing it as good as Sky Nicholson, but the judges obviously thought it was very effective. But Dan Aziz, for me, in the fight, weren't just the aggressor. He was the aggressor and landing as well. Wasn't getting his shots off that well, but he was doing the more... I haven't seen the punch stats for the fight, but for me, Dan Aziz was landing more. And like I say, he was the aggressor. And Edmondson's tactics, obviously the judges have liked it, and you like what you like. But for me, they were a little bit negative at times. And yeah, I had Dan Aziz winning the fight. I mean, Jack's just put in this sidebar, he had it a draw. Wouldn't particularly have argued with that, but to say 1-1-5, 1-1-2 in favour of Edmondson, not pretty shocker of a card for me.
Daz, Thursday's show, everyone apart from you, I think, predicted that Dan Aziz was winning this fight. You told everybody what Louis Edmondson brings to the table, so it's not a shock to you that he's won this fight.
No, but you'd prefer that he won it clearly. You know what I mean? If it were a close fight, then let him run it again. But yeah, listen, a lot of people in the know have said about Louis Edmondson for quite a bit. So I just sort of thought Dan Aziz may be on the downward spiral a little bit, to be fair, but obviously he's not. They've just got to run it again, haven't they? You know what I mean? That's what they've got to do. Got to do it again.
It weren't. I'll just say about the actual spectacle of the fight. It wasn't a sort of close fight. We go, I'd love to see it run back, because it wasn't a spectacle. It wasn't an entertaining.
Bit messy.
I feel like I don't like to say this negatively because he won the fight, but I feel like Edmondson made the fight worse as a spectacle because of his tactics. The way he was on the back foot, he didn't want to engage too much. Whereas I feel like Dan Aziz was his usual self. He wants to get it in an engaging fight. But I mean, it's another loss for Dan Aziz now, and he drew the other few months ago. He's on a bit of a bad run at the minute, Dan Aziz.
Yeah.
And I feel like Boxer and Ben Shalom, I saw a little interview with them. I feel like Boxer and Ben Shalom are starting to lose a bit of appeal with him, because he's not keeping up his winning form. And I think that's what they do sometimes. Whereas I feel like Matchroom and Queensbury have fighters lose, but they keep trying to build momentum again. I feel like when fighters lose your Boxer, you'll be right down in the pecking order.
I don't agree with that one little bit, Darren.
Oh, okay.
Matchroom, I think all promoters, if a fighter loses and it's a high-profile fighter, they lose appeal very, very quickly.
Derek Chisora.
Derek, you know why, don't you? Because Derek Chisora's a massive ticket seller.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Mate, to be fair, some promoters even don't want to pick up winners.
No, I know you're right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, even people who have won fights,
Yeah, you're right, mate.
promoters don't want to bother with them. So
it's got more to do with the appeal from the audience and the amount of tickets they sell than whether they can box. And that's in my opinion, being a massive fan of boxing as an entity on its own without all the promotional stuff. I know that Carl always says you're not looking at it from a promoter's side. No, I don't. I look at it from a fan that wants to see the best be the best and see the best prospects moving forward. Don't always happen, mate, because if they're not big ticket sellers, it turns promoters off.
Well, going back onto what we was talking earlier about, I don't want to go back onto it too much, but about the mental health side of things. I'm wondering whether Dan Aziz has got something going on, because Ben Shalom said in an interview, in something along the lines of, don't quote me on it, something along the lines of, he needs to sort out his problems in the background or whatever. Like, so he's sort of like insinuating that this losing run, he's got things going, issues going on elsewhere with his family or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a shit house treat, that from.
Yeah, awful.
He did definitely say that.
Yeah, he shouldn't be saying that.
Awful, that.
Shalom should be, if that's what Shalom believes is the trouble, he should be addressing that in a meeting with Dan Aziz.
Or he should be, as his fighter, he should be helping Dan Aziz sort his problems out.
Should be coming out saying that. I mean, it just shows what a non-boxing person he is sometimes. You know, he's not really. To me, he looks out of place. You know, you put him inside of Frank and Eddie, he just looks out of place.
He does, but you know, this attention he's getting lately with the Frank Warren stuff.
Yeah,
I actually think behind closed doors, he's loving it.
Of course he is. Yeah, of course he is.
He's loving being in this limelight. Yeah, he's loving it.
Of course he is. It's building him up.
Yeah.
Profile, yeah, definitely.
Jack in the sidebar has put, he'd love to see Liam Cameron be named as Louis Edmondson's mandatory. He predicted Edmondson would win. Right, moving swiftly on, guys, to the actual headliner of the card, I should say. Adam Azim beats O'Hara Davis with an 8th round stoppage. Darren, break the fight down for me.
Do you know what though? Right, I'm gonna play like a little pretend host here, because obviously I haven't watched it. I've just seen what happened. I don't think Akan's watched it.
No, I haven't seen it.
All down to me.
I think we all agree that Adam Azim looked sharp. By all accounts, looked really good. But I think the main talking point out of this is credit to O'Hara Davis. You know, happy retirement if that's what he's done. But I think the debate should be a little bit of an Andy and Darren on Smith and Azim, because I saw you had a little bit of a interaction.
So I straight after, we obviously, for people that don't know, we have a WhatsApp group. All the lads that come on the show, we've got a group set up to let people know when we're going live, if they're able to make it, blah, blah. And often on fight nights, people will put comments in there who we think's winning rounds. Straight after the fight, Darren made a statement that he thinks that Adam Azim beats Dalton Smith. Do you stick by that statement, Darren?
Yeah, I do. I thought he was super sharp last night, and I agree. The caliber of opponent, like, you know, O'Hara Davis, it was his retirement fight type of thing. But I was impressed with Adam Azim. Super slick, very sharp, on point with everything. And I just think that, well, I'm looking at it saying Dalton Smith hasn't had anything to handle like that yet. But again, it works the other way around as well.
Are you kidding me?
I don't. I think Adam Azim, I don't, honestly. I don't. I just think Adam Azim is going to be the best opponent that Dalton
You don't
Smith
think that Dalton Smith's for anyone of O'Hara Davis's standard?
No, I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, Dalton Smith, for me, hasn't had anybody to handle like how sharp Adam Azim is.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, mate. Probably the way I'll put it across. Yeah, I think, like, Dalton Smith hasn't handled anybody as slick and sharp as Adam Azim is, but it does work the other way as well. But from what I mean, we can have our debate and who thinks what, but I still don't think we're going to get that fight anywhere near yet. Sorry, do you?
I
Sorry.
When it first broke at the start of the year, was it the start of this year? Or was it partway through last year?
It was February, March time before the Dalton Smith fight in Sheffield.
So I was at a show. In Sheffield, GBM, and Dalton Smith's stablemate was on the card, and I got an interview with Dalton that's on the channel, and it had been broke either that day or the day before that Dalton had been made EBU mandatory for Adam Azim's European title.
Yeah.
At that time, nothing had come out really from the Adam Azim camp as to what they were planning to do. Dalton had done about 1 million interviews in that couple of days, and I was just one of those interviews. And he was obviously very, very respectful, and he is a very respectful guy, Dalton, by the way.
Yeah.
As is Adam Azim. Every time I see him interviewed and speak, and the way his team speak, nothing but respect. This is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
If they'd have fought at that time, I don't think Adam Azim is anywhere near experienced enough to handle what Dalton Smith brings to the table. And I still think that now. I don't think Adam Azim is ready. O'Hara Davis is nowhere near Dalton Smith's level. Dalton would have dealt with O'Hara Davis, and this is no disrespect. I know O'Hara Davis don't like media talking about him in a negative term. Well, unfortunately, if you give it out, you got to be able to take it back. The way he's spoken about the media and everyone over this fight week, I'll be amazed if he gets another fight, whether he wants one or not, with any big promoter, because he did nothing to promote the fight. All he did was spend all of his time bashing media, bashing channels like ours, bashing anyone that dare have an opinion about him. Anyway, I'm going off subject. Back onto Adam Azim and Dalton. I don't believe that Adam's fought anyone of Dalton's level. That doesn't mean
I think it works both ways. Yeah.
It doesn't mean he couldn't beat Dalton Smith. But my opinion, and I'm a massive Adam Azim fan. I think the McGuigan team have done wonders. He's a young kid still learning his trade. And I think they've done the right thing. Whether it was their decision or Boxer's decision not to make that fight at the time, and whoever's made the decision to vacate the European title was the right decision. Now, some people will say, well, that looks weak because it looks like they're scared of Dalton Smith. They're not scared of Dalton Smith, but they know this isn't the right time to fight Dalton Smith.
Yeah.
The right time to fight Dalton Smith is when either Dalton Smith's a world champion or when Adam Azim's a world champion. Because by that point, Adam Azim will be in a much stronger position to make the fight.
I think, sorry, Andy, I think the longer it goes on, the more favourable for Azim it is.
Yeah.
The longer it takes for it to happen, the more favourable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. Yep. But if they fought now, you know, I don't think it's clear cut that Dalton would win, if I'm honest.
No, it's not. I don't think Dalton wins.
No, I get what you're saying. He's probably going to have to be. He'd probably have to be favourite.
Yeah.
But you know, I think they both, you know, have had a little bit of clever matchmaking as well. Yeah. I mean, Zepeda was, you know, he was shot really, weren't he? You know, he's got downward slide. But clever matchmaking. But yeah, it's got to happen. So they're both quality fighters, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
You know, I like them both. But I think the longer it goes on, the better for Adam Azim is.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely, mate, because fighting Adam Azim now and the Dalton team, I think it might have been the Zepeda fight, or it might have been the fight before Zepeda, where they called Adam Azim out I think it was when the just before that he was made for European champion.
Yeah, maybe, mate. Maybe they was calling him out because they know that this is the time to get him.
That's what I was just about to say, Daz.
So,
for the Dalton Smith camp, it is the right time. Obviously, that they're getting somebody that's still learning his trade, somebody that's still finding his way in the division, constantly learning as well. Adam Azim, he's adding levels to his game. Right, he's not just an explosive punch fighter now. He's got a lot more to his game, and that's being built by a very, 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 very good coach.
Yeah,
Shane McGuigan is a very, very, very good coach.
From what I listened of Barry McGuigan, talking about like Shane and Adam Azim, he basically said, well, his words were, I don't give a fuck what anyone's saying about other promoters are saying or anyone's opinion is. He said, we are doing with Adam Azim what we know is right to do. We're a good team, and he goes, we don't give a shit what anybody else says about it. He said, and we are getting Adam Azim in the perfect position when that Dalton Smith fight will happen. He said, and we don't 100%. Care what anyone else says. And I thought about that. I thought that ain't going to be next. It's probably going to be about 2 or 3 fights down the line, I'd say.
Might even be 2026, that.
I agree, mate. I don't think it happens next year. And that's, that's basically what I've just said.
Yeah,
they've done the right thing. If it was their decision not to have that European title fight when it came about, which it has to be,
he's being lined up to be the next Amir Khan, isn't he? You know what I mean? Yeah. And listen, he could well be. I think in the fight with Dalton, I think Adam Azim's the puncher in it as well.
Yeah, I do.
I think Adam Azim's the more heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Dalton's very seasoned and very, very good, obviously. But I think Azim's, I mean, Dalton, on paper, Dalton can hit, and he obviously can. But I think Azim's the heavier-handed fighter out of the two. But I just
sharper puncher.
Yeah. And I don't think McGuigan's want him being outmanned, old man, you know what I mean, out hustled sort of thing. So yeah, like he says, what they're doing is they want the fighter at the best peak of his powers to fight the best.
I think the point I'm making is some people see it as a negative towards the McGuigans for not making the fight. I don't see it as a negative towards the McGuigans at all. I see it as a positive because they know exactly where Adam is right now.
Yeah.
What I think it is at the minute, where you've got the promoters look on it, you've got Eddie Hearn who possibly thinks, oh, we can do the O2 next year with that fight or whatever and build an undercard. I think you've got people like Barry McGuigan and Ben Shalom and that all getting together think, well, if they both keep winning, we can sell a football stadium eventually with that fight or something along the lines of that. Maybe Eddie Hearn thinks now's the time because maybe he thinks like Dalton Smith needs that fight now because he don't want to keep going much further because he steps up. He potentially could get beat. You don't know. Like no one knows where they're thinking. But yeah, I think that's the difference between the promotions here. I think Eddie's thinking we could do a big O2 show now, whereas I think Ben Shalom and the McGuigans are thinking, well, eventually, like we could maybe sell some kind of stadium fight eventually with that show.
Dalton's a few years older as well, isn't he? I think.
Yeah.
A few years older. He's much more experienced, and that's what this boils down to. They're at different stages of their career.
Yeah.
And the best two in the division in the UK. But it makes no sense. It makes all the sense in the world for Matchroom to make this fight for Dalton Smith. It makes no sense in the world for Boxer to make this fight for Adam Azim.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Right now, that's what it comes down to. I hope that we get a middle ground and we don't get it when Adam Azim's either past Dalton Smith at levels. I hope we get it when Adam Azim's at the right level and Dalton Smith's either teetering or he's leveling out as a fighter. At the minute, they're both on a rise. So and it's kind of Adam kind of playing catch up, if you like, a little bit on experience and where they stand in the division. If he keeps coming out with performances like Saturday night, then there'll be more call and more clamour for the fight to happen.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Eddie Hearn is pushing it as much as he is, because Eddie Hearn's normally a promoter. When he sees two UK fighters, if he thinks there's a possibility that either of them win a world title, he'll hang off making the fight. If he doesn't think that his fighters can be world champion, because that makes it a bigger fight. When there's a world title on the line, it makes it a bigger fight, and that makes it a stadium fight without a shadow of a doubt. Dalton Smith, Sheffield Wednesday fan, isn't he, Daz?
He is,
Yeah.
So that fight could easily be made for Hillsborough. Adam Azim is a...
Not sure.
No,
He's from Slough.
He's what?
Slough.
That's it. Slough. He's a Slough fighter. That ground's obviously not as big. So the likelihood is it will be made in Sheffield. I would think, if it was going to be an arena, if it was going to be a stadium. But yeah, for me, it's a much more appealing fight with a world title on the line. Doesn't need one, but sure,
you could even get a trilogy out of it. To be fair,
of course you could, just because they're still young enough.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're waiting for a world title to be on it, there's some killers in that division.
Absolutely, mate.
So no disrespect to him, but Dalton or Adam Azim aren't guaranteed to win a world title in that division. So, waiting for a world title, you could possibly see one of them going into the fight with each other with a loss on the record for me at world level.
There's another angle to chuck at this as well. Adam Azim looks really, really, really big for the weight. I don't know how much longer he can stay at super light. I don't think he struggles, not on the lines of, say, Lee Wood, when he was making feather in the last couple of fights, but I do think it might be a bit tight. He looked quite gone on the stage at weigh-in. I think he might be struggling a little bit, so I don't know. I don't think there's a very strong possibility that if you leave it too long, Adam's moved up.
Did any of you see that photo that was shared on Twitter the other day with someone saying that if Catterall beats Prograis, they're going to try and get Catterall v Dalton Smith on?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, someone put, the split photos.
Yeah.
And,
I don't see how it makes any sense to Dalton Smith.
I don't know, to be fair. I mean, would you say it makes sense for Catterall? Would you say if he beats Prograis, would fighting Dalton Smith be a step down?
It's definitely not a step up.
Yeah.
Prograis a seasoned name at the very highest level. Dalton isn't yet a seasoned name at the highest level. So if you look at it that way, you can argue that it is potentially, and this is not disrespectful, it's potentially a step down in that sense for Catterall. It's definitely a step up for Dalton Smith. Because I believe, I don't care what anyone says about Catterall's style and if he's boring or not. He's right up there, mate.
I think
you're going to see it the weekend. You're going to see it the weekend, just where he's at levels.
I think Matchroom might try to get Dalton Smith to fight the loser of that fight, or the loser of the Liam Paro Hutchins fight, to get a decent opponent, a step up, but the loser of those fights.
decent.
It's definitely, even if Dalton fights the loser of the fight at the weekend, it's a step up in level for Dalton. Can he handle that?
Yeah.
I actually think he can, but
I'll tell you what though.
He's yet to prove that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, right? If Prograis has got anything left, anything like the Prograis that fought Taylor, and it's close with Catterall, Dalton Smith's not fighting Prograis next.
Next. In my opinion, it's the same. Yeah. It's the same scenario that I've just given, but the opposite way round.
Yeah, if Prograis,
it's not next. Dalton Smith is fighting for a European John Fernandez. Maybe on the Monte Carlo card. I've heard rumors of that.
Yeah, he was obviously before the injury. He was obviously meant to be fighting for that European title on that show. Just that show that never happened. That went to London that never happened. And then went up and where did it end up? Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool. Yeah. So it's a very interesting time in the division. I think Jack Catterall needs a statement performance to push himself.
See, I don't think he's got that in. I don't think he's got them in him.
I don't think he has a knockout performance.
No, I think his style's his style. I don't think he's got.
Still have a statement performance with that style.
Yeah, you possibly could, but I don't think he's got that in him. I think he's too defensive minded sometimes.
Save this one for Thursday's show.
Yeah. Good point.
Good point. Right, lads. If you could pick one fighter next for Adam Azim that puts him in a much better position at world level, because let's not forget he's giving up that European title, so there's only one way he can go, and that's forward. So if you could pick one fighter in the division, who would you pick for him to fight next? That isn't too highly ranked, but is highly ranked enough.
Dalton Smith.
You'd pick Dalton next.
Yeah. Even though I'd make Dalton a favourite, he's not way out favourite.
Yeah.
You know. So.
What about someone like Sander Martin?
Yeah.
Exactly what I would like to see.
Yeah, that's a good shot. Yeah.
Good shot.
I do think that they're on different trajectories at minute, Azim and Smith, but they will meet. But yeah, I mean, I like a good old prospect v prospect dust up. To be fair, so I'd listen. If I'd got turkey shoes on, I might be saying, yeah, chuck that on. Come on, how much do you both want? You know
absolutely.
what I
mean? But right now, Daz, I'm 100% in the and maybe it's changed a little bit now, because we're talking almost a year on from when that original European title fight was supposed to be made between them. It's very possible that the McGuigans are now looking at that fight in a slightly different light.
Yeah. The interesting thing is Adam Azim's a bit vocal about Dalton Smith now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Adam Azim's now. I'm not saying Adam Azim didn't fancy it a year ago.
He probably did. He probably would have fought.
They were probably advised just rein it in a bit. But then obviously they've seen stuff in the gym, in sparring. They're close to him. They've seen stuff. Obviously the performance on Saturday. And probably they've said, yeah, let's do it. So get talking. And Adam Azim's obviously fancied it anyway, and that's given him more confidence. So obviously Adam Azim's now talking. And
what you're going to find is that the closer to a Dalton Smith European title fight, Hawkins just mentioned it. The more talk we'll get about this, the more vocal. If Adam Azim really does want it, the more vocal he'll probably get. And obviously, he'll get asked a lot more, so he'll have to give an answer. So it might not be that he's being vocal because for the sake of being vocal. He might just be being vocal because he's being asked the questions. He seems like a respectful kid. I don't think he's being disrespectful in his.
Well, I think you were a little bit, to be fair, in what he said. Yeah, I don't think you were overly bad, but I think you were a little bit. Junaid Boston actually put something on and said he went all through amateurs with Adam, and he said this ain't Adam. You know, this talking, it's not his style. And obviously he said Dalton's not like that. You know, Dalton's respectful. So he just pointed out that really he didn't think that were Adam's style from what he knew of him for how long he's known him. So
well, there's people for both camps that you can argue would do the talking in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, people in the background for Dalton's team, Eddie Earn for Ben Shalom for Adam Azim's team, and obviously Eddie Earn for Dalton's team. They can both do all that talking. The two fighters don't need to. Like I said, from what I've seen of both fighters, they are absolutely respectful in all circumstances. So, yeah, I mean, let's just. It is what it is. Someone might have caught Adam Azim on one of them days where you know, they just caught him off guard a little bit. Camera shoved in your face, Daz. You know how it can be.
Yeah, you're worse for it, aren't you?
I try and put it on you, mate.
Lads, I've got to shoot off because I believe I've got some food at front door. So,
that sounds good, mate.
Yeah, I've earned it.
I was going to bring the show. I was going to bring the show to a close.
Stressful weekend.
I was going to bring the show to a close anyway. So,
yeah.
Thanks to everyone in the sidebar, SMS Boxing, Claire, Jack Gladman. Thanks for your comments, lads. Thanks for being on the show, Daz. Thanks for putting in this time tonight after last night.
Mate. No problem.
Darren Aston, as always, mate. See you Thursday. Hawkano, if you could join Thursday as well. Thanks for joining, mate. This has been Last Well Boxing. We do the show on a Thursday night as a regular thing at 7 o'clock. So the next one is Thursday, 7 o'clock. Like, comment, subscribe, and join us if you can. Cheers, guys.
See you later, lads.
Cheers.